What just happened a few hours ago between the United States and Iran could be the spark that sets the world on fire. And while the politicians decide whether or not to push the red button, your money, your investments, and your cryptocurrencies are already feeling the impact. Stick around because in the next few minutes, you're not just going to understand what the hell is going on, but how it can affect your wallet and what smart investors are doing right now. Alright, let's get straight to the point. In the early hours of this morning, the United States launched an airstrike on strategic targets in Iran. We're not talking about a small skirmish. According to initial reports, missile bases and command centers of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard have been attacked. The White House is justifying it as a preventive defensive action to protect its personnel in the region, but for Iran, this is a full-blown declaration of war. Iran's supreme leader has already promised harsh revenge, and when Iran promises revenge, the entire world should listen very carefully, because they aren't just any country, and their ability to destabilize the world is gigantic. This brings us directly to the question everyone is asking. Why could this escalate into a third world war, and not just a local conflict? Because of alliances. It's a domino effect. Think about it. The United States has NATO and key allies like Israel, which sees Iran as its greatest existential threat. If the conflict escalates, Israel could intervene. On the other hand, Iran is not alone. It has the more or less direct backing of powers like Russia and China. Russia has an interest in weakening the United States on the world stage. China is interested in the stability of oil, but also in challenging American dominance. If Iran attacks American bases or their allies, and the United States responds with greater force, you could see these superpowers being forced to take sides. That, my friends, is the recipe for a global disaster. But the first weapon Iran is going to use isn't a missile, it's economic. Pay close attention because this is key to understanding how this affects you directly, even if you live thousands of miles away. Iran controls the entrance and exit of the Persian Gulf. It's called the Strait of Hormuz. Imagine a small water corridor. Well, through that corridor passes almost 30% of all the oil consumed in the world. 30%. It's the economic jugular of the planet. If Iran decides to close or militarize that strait in response to the attack, what do you think happens? First, the price of oil skyrockets. Not 10 or 20%. We could see prices double or triple the current ones in a matter of days. Second, this causes massive inflation worldwide. Gasoline, transportation, food, everything becomes exponentially more expensive. Third, economies panic, global recession, and in a panicked world, investors do one thing, they flee from risk. And this is where we connect everything to your portfolio. The stock market hates uncertainty. War is the ultimate uncertainty. The Asian markets have already opened with massive drops. Europe and the United States will follow the same path. Investors sell their stocks and seek refuge. This is called a flight to quality. Traditionally, that refuge is the US dollar and gold. But what about crypto? Here the debate is fascinating, and we're seeing it unfold in real. On one hand, in an initial panic, the highest risk assets are the first to be sold. And let's be honest, for big capital, Bitcoin and altcoins are the definition of high risk. So don't be surprised if we see a sharp initial drop with people selling their crypto to have cash, to have dollars. But, and this is a huge but, this is where the narrative of Bitcoin as digital gold is put to the test. Imagine this. If the global financial system falters, if inflation soars because of oil, if people in the involved countries need to move their money without governments freezing it, where do they go? Bitcoin is a decentralized, borderless, censorship-resistant asset. This crisis could be the biggest catalyst in its history for people to start seeing it not as a speculative asset, but as a true safe haven asset. We are already seeing strange movements. Immediately after the news, gold went up, oil went up, and after an initial dip, Bitcoin is showing surprising strength. Some analysts believe it's capital from conflict zones seeking a digital refuge. Volume on exchanges in the region has skyrocketed. We are talking about transfers of more than $135 million in the last few hours. In short, the world has entered a phase of maximum tension. This isn't some distant news story. It's going to affect the price of everything, from gasoline to your crypto. Volatility is going to be extreme. The stock market will likely suffer, and Bitcoin faces its greatest test. Will it fall like a risk asset, or will it solidify its place as the digital safe haven?